Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Malika Andrews, joined by Zach Lowe, Richard Jefferson, and Chiney Agumake. All very important people in their own right. At least they're important to me. We've got so much to get to, but we have a more important person than you.
Oh, we do?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
by far.
Fair.
Yeah, right. See, like, I wasn't even trying to throw shade, although I could use a little bit.
Yeah,
It's hot out
total
here in a
shade.
double-breasted suit. But I had a chance to sit down with Steph Curry himself. We covered all things finals, his journey to get here, and more. So let's start there. Check out our conversation.
Steve Kerr described your third quarter of Game 2 as breathtaking. If you were to describe it in one word, what would that word be?
Just impactful in terms of just trying to help us win the game. There's a time where you're trying to exercise the demons of what happened in Game 1 and not let the momentum slip and understanding how Boston plays. We needed to create separation and needed to figure out a way to, really take hold of that game and get back into the series. So there was just a moment you hit a couple big shots, you get a couple good stops, get the ball moving a little bit, get our crowd into it, and we took care of business. So hopefully we can bottle up whatever that was, that momentum, take it on the road, bring it here to Boston, and try to steal Game 3.
Maybe bottle up a little bit of that Jordan Poole half-court shot.
Absolutely.
Klay Thompson, it means a lot to all of you. I know from talking to you all over the last couple of days to be back on this stage, but for Klay in particular, after everything he's been through, I imagine it means a little bit more. What do you all need to do to help him help himself get going here?
It's the tricky thing is like you don't tell Klay Thompson to do anything different. He's Klay Thompson. We've seen it year after year after year. We've seen it him impact the series with a breakout game. We got a nickname Game 6 Klay for a reason. So there's nothing really in terms of his confidence or anything you need to say to him to help him. It's just a matter of understanding how Boston's defending him and where he can kind of let the game come to him a little bit. They obviously know what he's capable of, and they send a lot of attention his way to keep a body on him. They try not to let him get any clean looks. And so whether he's getting a bunch of shot attempts early or late or wherever it comes in the game, just to be ready for his moment because he knows it's coming. And over the course of a series, I'm not a real gambling man, but I put a lot of money on the fact that Klay is going to, have his moment and shine and impact the series in a significant way, and that we can trust on.
I think if history's proven anything, it's
Absolutely.
you can probably bet on that. I'm not a gambling person either, but for the last 2 years, Klay went through his own ordeal with injuries, but so did you. You dealt with injuries, losing in a way that you hadn't in a very long time. How did that change your perspective on getting back to this stage?
It just gave me more. I've always had an appreciation and sense of gratitude for all your accomplishments in this league because you understand how hard it is to win. How many things have to kind of go your way, all the work that you have to put in to get to be prepared for those opportunities. The injuries and that 2-year hiatus, it reminds you of all of that. And then once you start to get back on that mission, the way that we started off this season, you realize how much of a marathon it is. And I don't want to take anything for granted in terms of where I'm at in my career, 13 years in, 34, you don't know how many more opportunities you'll get to, one, be on the stage, but B, I feel like I'm in my prime to be able to, take advantage of those opportunities. So there's a lot of emotion and pressure and anxiety and all type of emotions that goes into, this enjoying this moment. And I want to experience all of that because it's what it's all about. It's what playing this game at the highest level it brings out of you.
It's interesting you said that now is your prime because there's some who might say, well, what about the back-to-back MVPs? What makes this different? Why do you say that now?
Just the way I feel, the ability to match, the progression, I think, in terms of my skill set and all that with just the mental awareness of and composure of all the different experiences that I've had. Like, I don't feel like I've lost a step at all, but I understand, there's a lot more for me to do out there on that court, and I appreciate every moment that I get.
Draymond, when he was sitting in that chair just a couple of days ago, he said that he knew that in his estimation he was playing with one of the greatest to ever play the game in 2017, 2018, but then in his words, in 2020, that's when you became unstoppable. What do you think of that timeline that he laid out?
He's my ultimate defender. I think it's just, and I appreciate the journey. When you look at, like, from the time this run started, 14, 15, to now, I play the same way, still have the same joy, the same flair for the game, but I think, I don't know, there's just a different sense of peace when it comes to knowing what I can do out there, and it comes with a different demeanor and a different confidence, because you've been through it all before, and you understand that the hardest part is to keep repeating it, keep doing it over and over again. So there's a sense of pride that comes with that, for sure. And I feel like I'm still getting better. So I don't know if that's the mentality I have to keep this thing going for as long as you can. You got to almost like trick yourself into thinking that you can keep doing this year after year after year.
I know the goal is bigger. The goal is another title. Mm-hmm. But we saw your face the jokes when you won the Western Conference Finals MVP. What would it mean to you to win Finals MVP?
I mean, it would mean everything, because obviously pretty much means you're winning the series.
Yeah, except
and
for very few times.
I know. And you think about like when Andre won, when KD won his 2, there's just so much joy in that moment. No matter who wins it, there's so much joy in that moment. You want to be able to experience it. And I think the context of every series changes in terms of like what it's going to take to actually win. And I think for us to win this championship, get 3 more wins, and hold that Larry O'Brien trophy, like I'm going to have to keep playing the way that I am and hold myself to that standard. Like you said, that smaller trophy isn't the motivation at all. But you know what comes with winning the big one and what it takes to do that. So I'm focused on that. The fact that I have another opportunity and we have another opportunity to be here on this stage after the conversations over the last 2 to 3 years, that says a lot in and of itself anyway. So I'm excited about it.
Well, speaking of those last conversations, the last 2 to 3 years, it's rare in this era, Steph, for a player to play his entire career with one franchise. Mm-hmm. And you chose to re-sign with Golden State when you could have waited. You could have seen the way that it shook out this year. You could have chilled, seen how Klay came back, how others came back, how you came back, if you could have gotten to this place again, but you didn't. Why?
It's the faith in what we've built. There's a confidence in our culture, and that's kind of the taboo word, but it's like everything that we've done and built and the way that we do things, I feel like my fingerprints all over that, Draymond, Klay, Andre. So to know that we had an immediate shot to kind of redefine what Warrior basketball was, who knew what this year was going to look like, but to now be back in the finals and truly look, well, not too soon, but look ahead and think, next 2-3 years, who says we can't be back on this stage? So I just had so much confidence in the ability to do that and to sign up for the opportunity to kind of defy the odds and create a new understanding of what my place in Warrior history is. And now we're here.
I mean, it kind of could be the ultimate place if, essentially, you've signed for your entire career to be here.
I said my prom, I'm 34. See how many years I can push it, but yeah, that sounds about right.
Before I let you go, we've seen an uptick over the last couple of days in NBA players and teams bringing awareness to Brittany Griner's wrongful detainment in Russia. And a sentiment that we've heard over the course of this, fairly or unfairly, is that if this were LeBron, if this were you, the situation wouldn't be continuing to the degree that it is now. What do you think of that?
I mean, there's something to that. I think it's obviously, from the time you heard about the story kind of unfolding and understand what she was going through and where she was at and the helplessness almost of like, what do you do to help get her home safely and quickly? and now we're over 110 days, I think, around there that she's been, wrongfully detained. So it is an unfortunate situation, and it's a tragedy in terms of, she needs to be home. She needs to be safe. She needs to be with her family. She needs to be, back home. I think if you compare it to what the noise and the conversation and the awareness of her situation versus somebody else, like, I don't like to play that game, because right now it's just about getting her home, and everybody, joining that effort and joining that front to make sure, she's talked about, and all hands are on deck and all resources are thrown at getting her home as soon as possible. So I know those efforts are ongoing, and hopefully there'll be some positive, ending to this story.
Yes, absolutely. Steph, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
So a whole lot of interesting things that Steph Curry said in that conversation, but one of them was that he feels like he is still in his prime. That's despite in 2015 and 2016 being when he was the back-to-back MVP. That was several years ago. Richard, do you agree with Steph?
100% I agree with them. You can win the MVP because you had a great year and your team played outstanding. You don't win 73 games off one singular individual performance. That was an outstanding team performance. So for Steph Curry to say, hey, look, I'm still in my prime. Well, look, he just won the Magic Johnson Award. He just got his team to the finals after getting Klay Thompson back. Is there any indication that we see that he's not in his prime? I haven't seen anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're 1-1 in the finals against a great team that's built in a lab to defend the Warriors. Jordan Poole's had one good quarter. Klay Thompson's had two bad games. Wiggins up and down. Draymond up and down. Everybody up and down. Gary Payton played only one game. They're 1-1 because Stephen Curry has 63 points in 2 games on 21 of 46 shooting, 12 of 26 from 3 against a defense that is making him work as hard as any defense I've seen make him work in a long, long time. Is he in his prime? If he's not in his prime, the rest of us are toast.
Can we say hell yeah? Like, he is for sure in his prime, and I think we're starting to see, with especially how science is moving, LeBron James playing great late into his career. He's 34 years old.
Yeah.
So he's significantly years younger than LeBron. He knows how to take care of his body because his first year, we were talking during the break, his first few years were tough, and so he had to figure it out early, and he's been able to maintain that. Remember, the conversation was a lot about his conditioning and building up muscle in the beginning of the year. Well, that pays off right now in the postseason in the NBA Finals. And this is a guy who's averaging about double next to his teammates, the Warriors. He's averaging 31 in the NBA Finals. And lastly, Malika, you started this conversation about how many, great points Steph brought up. And I would like to say that, mentioning in your question, Brittany Griner, 2 days ago, I was playing the Phoenix Mercury. And the fact that, the NBA and the WNBA, so many players are aware of what is actually bigger and, lending their voices to that conversation, to me, that just was a nice moment that Steph said, hey, as much as we're playing, in the NBA Finals, this is a priority for us to bring her home. We want her home. So overall, this is the quintessential leader that you can see. Like, that's why didn't Adam Silver, as you mentioned, say, hey, like, it's great when the Warriors are in the NBA Finals. And this is the reason why. Steph is showing you that he's in his prime. He's a voice, and he's really mature throughout